What, what the hell happened to you two?
This wise young lady decides she wants to come work for you.
You know her?
Hold on now.
The story kicks off with a shady-looking black van pulling up to a quiet countryside farm. A kid named Diego is outside when he spots the van, and out steps a rich, nasty guy named Blaine Richfield, along with a squad of goons. Blaine isn't just rich. He's the kind of guy who gets what he wants, no matter the cost. Diego's parents step outside to meet Blaine, who's clearly there to strong-arm them into selling the land. Diego's dad stands his ground, though. He's not the type to be bullied. Things get tense fast. A fight breaks out, and Diego jumps in to help. But his dad tells his wife to get the boy inside. She does, but of course, being a stubborn kid, Diego sneaks out through his bedroom window to see what's going on. Outside, Diego hears his dad calling out Blaine for being a lying cheat. Blaine, cool as ever, gives the signal, and just like that, his men shoot Diego's father dead. Diego hides in the bushes, frozen. Then another shot rings out. His mom's been killed too, just when it seems like Diego's next. One of Blaine's men, Silas, quietly grabs him and sneaks him away before the others notice. Silas later lies to the rest, claiming Diego was already taken care of deep in the jungle. Once it's safe, Diego goes back to his house and finds his parents' bodies. Devastated, he grabs his mom's jewelry and just sits in silence until Silas shows up again. Feeling guilty, Silas promises to send Diego to live with his father, Bingwan, and his half-sister, Sini, who are living in China. So Diego leaves everything behind and begins a new chapter of his life. Fast forward a bit, Diego's now living in China. One morning, he wakes up to see Bingwan and Sini training together in martial arts. Diego's too shy to join in, just watches from the sidelines. Later that night at dinner, Bingwan brings up the idea of teaching Diego some self-defense. He figures Diego could train with Sini, but she jokes that Diego's kind of scared of her. The next morning, Diego finds a pair of boxing gloves left for him and decides to join the training. Turns out, he's pretty quick to learn, especially when it comes to throwing punches. But he's got this impatient streak. He keeps asking when he'll get to use his skills in real fights. Bingwan tells him off gently. This isn't about picking fights. It's about protecting yourself and the people you care about. Years go by, and Diego's not just good anymore. He's a full-blown martial arts expert. One evening, Diego overhears Bingwan telling Silas he should quit and go home because the situation with Blaine is too dangerous. Silas refuses, saying Blaine's too powerful, and any move against him could put all of them in danger. Hearing Blaine's name again sets Diego off. He storms out to the punching bag, unleashing his rage. Bingwan finds him there, crying in frustration because he still hasn't gotten justice for his parents. Diego tells Bingwan he wants to go back and fight for his land, to stop Blaine once and for all. But Bingwan isn't convinced. He says Diego's anger still controls him, and that's a dangerous thing. That night, Diego doesn't wait around for more advice. He packs a bag, sneaks out, and catches a ship back to America. On the boat, some lowlifes try to rob him, and he doesn't take it lightly. He knocks one of them out cold and nearly strangles the other before he stops himself. Still, the crew reports him to the authorities, and Diego ends up in a holding cell in Mexico. After getting out, Diego wanders around until he stumbles upon a bar. Inside, folks are placing bets on a pool game. Diego watches as one guy wins over and over until the crowd notices him and invites him to join. Diego politely declines. Suddenly, a couple of shady men in black enter and approach the pool champion. A fight breaks out, and the winner flees. Diego follows outside and watches as three men gang up on the guy. Before they can finish him off, Diego jumps in. He overhears them mutter Blaine's name, and that's all he needs. He goes into full-on fight mode. After the scuffle, Diego learns the man's name is William. Turns out, he used to work for Blaine, helping smuggle dangerous chemicals. But after his sister died because of those chemicals, William quit and went into hiding. Blaine's been hunting him ever since. Diego tells William about his own past, and that he's planning to cross the border to get revenge. William agrees to help him get across, but says he wants no part in the actual fighting. Diego convinces him that helping take down Blaine will finally set him free, and William eventually agrees to join the mission. Meanwhile, Blaine is still up to no good. He's meeting with Ryan, a trafficker who just delivered a new batch of kidnapped girls. Sheriff Hansen shows up and tells Blaine things are getting too risky. He wants more money to keep quiet. Blaine smirks and makes a disgusting joke about Hanson's daughter, which gets the sheriff real angry. He storms off, back to Diego and William. They make it across the border, and while grabbing coffee, Diego tells William the full story of how his parents were murdered. Their conversation is cut short when they catch a woman trying to steal William's truck. William goes to stop her, but she stabs him in the shoulder. Diego manages to pin her down, and she explains she saw Blaine's logo on the truck and panicked. Her name is Blanca, and she's got her own horror story. Blaine kidnapped her and forced her into sex work. She only got out after killing her first client. Another girl helped her escape, but that girl's still trapped. Blanca has broken into Blaine's properties a few times and rescued other women, but she hasn't found the girl who saved her yet. Diego invites her to join their mission, but William isn't thrilled. Still, Diego says she could have killed them both and didn't. Blanca agrees to join if they'll help free the remaining girls. The team is now a trio. They set up camp just outside Blaine's territory and start planning. Blanca lays out the layout of Blaine's compound and mentions he's throwing a fancy party for his rich pals. That night, while they're talking, one of Blaine's men named Swiftwater sneaks up on them. He threatens them with his gun, warning them to leave. Blanca reacts fast. She throws a knife that hits his hand, giving the others a chance to tie him up. Blanca thinks they should just get rid of the guy, arguing he wouldn't hesitate to do the same if the roles were reversed. But Diego doesn't agree. He believes the man might actually have some useful info. That's when Swiftwater jumps in and explains that he's not trying to hurt anyone. He's only doing what he was told, keeping people off Blaine's land. He says Blaine's been threatening him and even his family, basically forcing him to follow orders. Hearing this, Diego steps in and says they should let Swiftwater go. William complains again, clearly not thrilled, but Diego says they need more people on their side. He unties Swiftwater, and they all introduce themselves properly. As things settle down, Swiftwater recognizes William and immediately brings up the bounty that's been put on his head. He also brings up how William introduced some kind of dangerous chemical into his neighborhood, the same chemical that killed Swiftwater's brother. Furious, Swiftwater confronts William, and a fight breaks out. Diego and Blanca step in quickly to break it up. William insists he's not that guy anymore and that he's trying to make things right. But Swiftwater isn't having it. He says it's not enough and even threatens to kill them if anything happens to Blaine, even if he's behind bars. Still, he refuses to help them directly out of fear for his own family. He promises he won't snitch to Blaine, but says he's out. Before leaving, they give him his weapons back, and he mutters an apology to William before walking away. Diego then turns to the others and says they have no choice. They need to take Blaine out. They all agree. Meanwhile, Silas is at home when he gets a notification that someone's at the door. He checks the camera and doesn't recognize the visitors until Diego reminds him that Silas saved his life as a kid. That jogs Silas's memory, and he rushes to open the door, letting Diego in but telling the others to stay outside for now. Silas is happy to see Diego, but also nervous. He warns him that being here could be dangerous. Diego explains their plan, and although Silas doesn't fully trust it, he agrees to let them stay for the night. Silas tries to convince them not to go through with their plan. He says Blaine is basically untouchable now and that trying to go up against him is asking for trouble. He fears that if they make a move, both Bing and Encini will die as a result. Diego says they want to hit Blaine's place tonight, and they need Silas's help to get in. Blanca then spots a photo of Silas with a woman, and she immediately recognizes the girl. It's the same one who helped her escape. Silas is stunned. That girl is his daughter, who he believed had died 13 years ago. He breaks down, realizing he's been unknowingly working for the very man who took his daughter. He'd always suspected Blaine, but never had the guts to confront him. Diego promises that if the girl is still alive, they'll find her and get her out. That gives Silas the push he needs. He agrees to help them bring Blaine down. Back in China, Bing is meditating when two men in suits barge into his place. Meanwhile, Hanson returns to Blaine and tells him that while he's helped out other sheriffs, Blaine hasn't done much for him. Blaine warns him again to stay in line if he wants his daughter to be safe. Then he orders his men to drag Hanson out. Later, Ryan arrives and says there's been no word from China. Blaine, now suspicious, declares that Silas can't be trusted anymore. That night, Silas gives Diego and the crew some guns. He also tells Diego that the deed to his family's land is locked in Blaine's safe. They all hide in Silas's vehicle, and he drives them to Blaine's compound. Most of the guards are inside, so the outside area is pretty empty. Their first goal is to rescue the girls. Blanca takes the lead. She guides them to the girls' room and quickly takes down 2 guards who are supposed to be watching the place. Inside, there's another guard. Blanca throws a knife, but Diego jumps in and finishes the guy off. He also handles another guard before they find and free the girls. While everyone escapes with the girls, Blanca chooses to stay back. She wants to settle the score with Ryan, the guy who kidnapped her. She shoves Diego out of the room and locks the door behind him. She jumps Ryan and a brutal fight starts. Ryan lands a hard punch and tries to pull out a gun, but Blanca strikes first, stabbing him several times and slashing his throat. The group escapes through a fence, but Silas hasn't seen his daughter yet. One of the girls tells him the heartbreaking truth, that she died the same night Blanca got away. Silas breaks down crying and screams that he's going to kill Blaine. Blanca decides she'll get the girls to safety and then leave. Diego hesitates, but finally agrees. But just as they're about to leave, 3 armed men show up and take them by surprise. They're disarmed, and one of the men calls Blaine to report that the intruders have been caught. Blaine tells him to keep them alive until he gets there. Next, we see Blaine tying up Bing and Encini in his office, snapping a photo of them. He sends it to his men, who then show it to Diego and Silas. Blaine shows up in person and calls Silas a traitor in front of everyone. Suddenly, a truck pulls up, and it's Stillwater. Blaine sarcastically asks why he's not out patrolling. But before anyone can react, Stillwater opens fire on Blaine's men, forcing them to scatter. A wild shootout begins. Stillwater runs out of bullets, and Blaine's man points a gun at him, ready to end it. But Diego arrives just in time and shoots the attacker dead. Stillwater's all in now. They storm into the building, going after Blaine. More of Blaine's guards show up, and another gunfight erupts. Just when the crew runs out of ammo and thinks it's over, Blanca shows up again and saves the day, shooting the enemies. But during the chaos, both she and Stillwater are hit. While Blanca and William deal with the shooter, Diego and Silas go after Blaine. They reach his office, only to find Blaine holding Bing and Encini at gunpoint. He forces Diego and Silas to drop their weapons and then shoots Silas in the chest. Diego lunges at Blaine, but Blaine knocks him down. Reinforcements arrive, and another shootout starts. They're low on bullets again. Stillwater takes out 2 enemies, and William finishes the rest. Diego and Blaine square off. Diego throws punches, but Blaine gets the upper hand and mocks him. Diego brings up all the people Blaine has killed, promising revenge, but gets knocked down again. Then, Silas manages to free Cini, who stops Blaine just in time before he finishes off Diego. Diego uses the distraction to tackle Blaine and starts choking him, but Bing and Encini stop him, urging him not to go too far. Blaine laughs, thinking they'll take him to the police. He grabs a gun, but Diego disarms him and shoots him dead. Silas dies in his son's arms as Hansen walks in. Diego grabs the deed to his family's land. They consider turning themselves in, but Hansen tells them to disappear fast. Outside, Diego apologizes to Bing and for leaving him behind earlier. But Bing tells him it's all good. What matters is they got justice. The crew then heads off to a burger joint, joking about starting a new crew. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching.